Hey, how you doing today? My name is Relyea, and thank you so much for stopping by. Today, I wanted to talk about a brand new Metroidvania game that just released, and this one is really good. If you've ever wondered about what happens to a mischievous cat in the afterlife, well, in Crypt Custodian, it involves a lot of cleaning. In Crypt Custodian, you will grab your broom and get ready to battle different bosses in the afterlife. This game is an action-adventure game that I like to describe as a palate cleanser. Crypt Custodian was developed by Kyle Thompson and just released on PlayStation 4, 5, Xbox One, X and S, Steam, and Nintendo Switch. It's out on all of the different platforms. You should go pick it up. That's pretty much the long and short of this video. I personally played it on my Lenovo Legion Go and had an absolute blast. This charming indie game has beautiful visuals and is a balanced challenge, making it perfect for both casual and experienced players. It reminds me a lot of the last game developed by Kyle, which is Islets. If you enjoyed Islets, you're really going to enjoy this game even more. The combat is way more fleshed out and you get tons of different abilities. There are beautiful areas, the bosses are great. Not only do you get different abilities for like exploring the world, but there are lots of different upgrades, and there's ways to like really stack all those upgrades. It just gets really fun the longer and deeper you get into the game. In this game, you play as a cat and you're told to clean up the afterlife. You aren't even in the good afterlife. The way that they describe the afterlife, you've got the palace, which is essentially heaven, and then they've got outside of the palace. And so early on, there's a mix up and you are sent into this outside of palace kind of purgatory area forever. But along the way, you start to make some friends and find out that there may be a way to get into the palace. And so essentially you find out that teamwork makes the dream work in this game, and you're just kind of going around trying to help other characters and NPCs, defeating bosses, which then ultimately unlocks these different friends along the way. The level design in Crypt Custodian is great. It's a key aspect that I think is underappreciated in a lot of really good games. You only really miss it when you play something that doesn't have great level design. There are a lot of different paths that are interconnected, lots of different power-ups you get, and that opens up the different branching paths. And I'm pretty sure that there are lots of different ways that you can complete this game. Like, it's not just like, okay, you have to get upgrade 1 before you get upgrade 2. I personally found it pretty easy to get from one upgrade, and then you kind of look at your map and you're like, oh, I haven't explored this area, and then of course whatever upgrade you got makes that other place like that's where you're supposed to go. I really like that about this game, is that you could pretty much explore almost anywhere, and that's kind of where you needed to go. Not only was it like big picture, you would then find the next upgrade, but even if you were going into like different paths that were locked out, there were so many different like mini power-ups, so there weren't any like real dead ends that there was just nothing there. There's always some sort of like memory to pick up or way to expand, so in that way you got more power-ups that you could hold, or just new power-ups in general. Like, it was really cool. There's tons of things to collect, and I really liked it. And not only that, as you play through the game, very early on you come across a shop, and in the shop you can buy different power-ups, but 2, off to the side there's a way where you can buy major map markers or the mini map markers. So if you're trying to find just like little power-ups, it's not even that expensive. It's like 200 in-game currency, and it'll put a little map marker, and it makes it so much easier to 100% the game. Like, I didn't really use the in-game mini map markers until I beat the game, and then after that I'm like, well, I don't want to go search every last little nook and cranny for everything in this game, which I might have done anyways. It's actually really fun. It was so nice to just pay the money. It would put the marker on my map. I would go pick it up, and then as I'm going, I'd pick up more in-game currency, so then that way I could get the next map marker. It worked out really good. I got 99% done with the game. There's one last thing that I need to find, and I think I know where it is. Very excited. Like, it was just such a fun game. Like, I was drawn in and kept wanting to play more and more. The progression system in Crypt Custodian feels a bit like Hollow Knight in that there are equipable items similar to charms, but the major change is that you can keep earning more and more in-game currency, and instead of just having nothing to spend it on like in Hollow Knight, you can keep getting essentially the Hollow Knight version of charm notches. You can just make it so you can keep equipping more and more of the in-game power-ups, and that is really fun because eventually you can just have as much customization as you want. You can have as many upgrades as you want. So by the time you get to end game, you can start really feeling not quite overpowered. You're not like one hitting everything in the game or anything like that, but you just have a lot more options and you are dealing more damage. It's really cool because some of these power-ups help with exploration, some of them help with dealing more damage, some of them give you a little bit extra life, so you kind of get to pick and choose, and you can have just whatever you want. It's not like there's just one set path of upgrades and like, okay, this is what you're locked into and you don't get to try anything else. Eventually, you get so many things unlocked that you can just have everything if you really wanted to. And then on top of that, you have your major upgrades, and some of them are really interesting mechanics that I haven't really seen a whole lot before. So one of them is it allows you to teleport to your thrown weapon. I thought that that was really cool. And then there's also a way to like jump and dig underground. That's kind of fun too. I don't really remember seeing that too much anywhere in my recent memory. There's a way to dash and jump dash, and there's even a way to turn into a ghost. Lots of really cool different mechanics, and they all open up at different points of the game, open up different branches, and they all allow for like backtracking and different things like that. I really like the pacing of when you got these different major upgrades. It felt like they were coming in at a really a good rate. It wasn't like it was taking forever before the next one. One of the things I think other indie games struggle with is having a good variety of enemies. There's been too many indie games where they try to just reskin enemies, and instead of a red enemy, it's blue, and instead of shooting one fireball, it shoots 3, and it's got a little bit extra health. I really despise that. I'm not a game developer, but as a player, it looks and feels lazy. I've got no other way to put it. It's probably not lazy, and maybe that's not the right way to put it, but what's nice is that's not the issue here. That's just my big take on some games. I just don't like having not enough enemy variety type, or having way too many like just reskinned enemies. Like, it just doesn't feel good. What's nice is Crypt Custodian doesn't suffer from that issue. There are plenty of different major zones and areas, and there are plenty of different enemies in each of those different zones. Are some of the enemies similar in that, okay, they jump and instead of doing one thing, it does multiple? Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of that, but it's not like the enemies are just reskinned. I think that they do a good job of like really fleshing out the different enemies and making them act and do different things. I like that a lot, and it made the game feel fresh and made you want to keep exploring more and more. The combat in this game is pretty simple. It's not over the top. You've only got a couple of swings. You can jump and slam down, and then on top of that, there's a special ability. As you fill up your energy, you can press the B button if you're on an Xbox controller, and what that does is it unleashes your special power, and depending on what special power you have, it deals a bunch of damage, or it can do projectiles all over the place, or it can do something close to you. You can do something that hones into your enemies. A lot of different like customizability with whatever thing that you like best, and I like that a lot. I like that there was lots of different power-ups that you could have. I'm sure there's one that is by far better than all of the other ones, but I found that I used a little bit of all of them. The art style of this game is absolutely gorgeous. It creates a cohesive and inviting world. The major areas feel fresh, and I don't feel like it's stealing from Hollow Knight. In fact, there's no area that feels like Green Path, which is something that I haven't seen skipped in a Metroidvania game in a really long time. There's lots and lots of different Metroidvania games, like almost all of them have a green path area, but all of the areas in Crypt Custodian felt really unique to this game. It was just really clean, and I enjoyed it a lot. So jumping into the story a little bit, in Crypt Custodian, you step into the paws of Pluto, and you're basically a goofy looking mischievous cat. This goofball has these big giant eyes. I mean, just look at him. Look at him. He wouldn't hurt a fly. Well, he got in a car accident and he was sent into the afterlife, and after a misunderstanding early on, we were sent to clean up this afterlife forever. The afterlife is essentially outside of the palace, and the palace is heaven, but you know what, basically we end up meeting a bunch of friends along the way, and we try to break into heaven. aka the palace. And then there's even a little bit more after you get into the palace. Some more stuff happens. It's fun. Like I just kept wanting to keep going and going. Like, well, what happens next? And then what? Even once you beat the game, there's like little puzzles that are left unsolved, and you're like, well, how do I do these puzzles? You're gonna have to subscribe to my channel because I'll show you how to do some of those end game puzzles. Just saying. I mean, if you want. I think what makes this game really stand out is that it's not a copy of any other games. It feels fresh. It stands on its own legs, all 4 of them, because he's a cat, you know? It doesn't need to like be overly pushy with the combat, and the platforming wasn't like crazy difficult. I mean, there are some of the puzzles where the platforming and the timing is like pretty tight. You have to like really be on it. It'll take a couple amount of times to get it just right. It's fun. It's not so difficult that you're like ready to bang your controller into the ground, and it's a much more enjoyable experience. And that's why I call this game a palate cleanser. It's because it's something you can play after Dark Souls, or maybe even before you get into something that's gonna be crazy difficult, and you can just have a good time. I haven't played this on the easy mode or the hard mode. I just played it on normal. It felt good right there. I like that this game had a decent number of save spots, and a bonus is that you're able to fast travel between all of the different save spots. And even better is that if you explore an area to a dead end, you're actually able to just pull up the map and then fast travel to any of the different save spots. So it just saves tons of time, and it doesn't make the exploration punishing. In fact, it feels like you're more encouraged to go explore, find whatever is at that dead end, and then you can get back into wherever it is that you want to go pretty quickly. I like that a lot. As far as criticism of this game goes, I would have liked some of the bosses to be a little bit more difficult, but that said, I didn't play it on the hard difficulty. Maybe that would have been more interesting for me personally. I could have kicked it up like right during the boss fights or whatever. Other than that, I really don't have anything negative to say about the game. Like, it was just good, clean fun. I enjoyed the game. The atmosphere was good. The sound design was great. The music was fun, and it was just really just atmospheric in general. The bosses not being overly difficult, but there was probably about 2 or 3 that I kind of struggled with for a little bit, and that was for me fun because it's more challenging, and then you feel like you accomplished something. I like that. It's not a Dark Souls style, like I said, smash your controller into the ground trying to like defeat a boss or something like that, but it's fine. It was just really enjoyable. If you like Metroidvania games, I think you're really gonna like this one. Even more so if you enjoyed Islets, or you want something that's just a little bit more casual and chill. This was really fun, and I definitely think it's worth buying. I'll leave a link down in the description below to get you to the Steam page, so you can wishlist it. If you want to pick it up now, go ahead and buy it now, you know, might as well. Anyways, I hope you found this video helpful. Leave me any questions down in the comments below if you want to know anything about this game. Like I said, I am this close to 100%, so I know quite a bit of things. And yeah, thank you so much to my video sponsors. I really appreciate it. And thank you for watching all the way to the end. Again, my name is Relyea, and I'll talk to you again more real soon. Thanks. Bye.